Yeah, it is another episode of the Auto Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. The 54 people
Flipping you
currently
off
in
in
this chat
reverse.
right now. There's 54 of you, and you are the most diehard, belligerent, self-emasculating individuals that exists on planet Earth because you are sticking around for a Raiders post-game show in a game that ended 3-0. Vikings came into town, both of us off bye weeks, and it was scoreless until the waning minutes of the fourth quarter, and a field goal is all it took for the Vikings to take the lead 3-0. They stay in the playoff hunt in the NFC. The Raiders are completely out of the playoff hunt in the AFC. I tell you, Soto, if you're going to suck, at least suck historically. This was a historically sucky game. Record breaking.
Yeah, it was for this to be the product coming off of a bye, coming off of all that talk. We have all this special things lined up. We're gonna do this at halftime. We're gonna have a special thing coming up out of half. I was telling you before we came on, we just watched Antonio Pierce and Bo Hardegree lose their jobs.
Yeah,
they are not going to come back next year. I don't care who tells me what. If I'm Mark Davis, there's no way I can allow the interim coach and my offensive coordinator to stay in that role next year when this is what they're going to put out following a bye week.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they stick around. I like Bo as quarterback coach, and I like AP as linebacker coach. But it's always weird when this happens, right? Like it's when you've got let's say you've got a roommate who's a chick, and then you hook up with her, and you break up. She really can't be your roommate anymore. You know, it gets
not even break
weird.
up, but like you start. I mean, it's happened to me where like you hook up once, oh shit, whatever, and then like you actually get another girlfriend. It's like you can't, because first off, if the girlfriend ever finds out, probably because the roommate told you, you're never going to tell the girlfriend, but the roommate told you, and your girlfriend's not going to want you to stay there, so
it gets complicated. It gets party of five.
That's a great word to use, complicated. It will be extremely complicated. Now, I will say this. If AP does want to stay with the Raiders, he can. Look, Mark Davis has to be straight up. In a perfect world, Mark Davis says, AP, I just don't think you're ready yet. You need a little bit more seasoning to become a head coach.
Salt Bay.
Yeah, you need a little bit, more seasoning. I really like what you did with this team. I'd like you to stay on in some capacity. I will make sure that you stay on in some capacity with the new regime. Are you willing to do that? If he says yes, he has to talk to the team and says, you know what, guys, we gave it our best. I'm going to get there. I'm just not there yet. I want to be here. I want to fulfill this with you guys. I want to stick around, blah, 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 whatever, and see where it goes from there. That way you don't have that kind of like split locker room where half the team wants Antonio Pierce and half the team.
I wonder if even the locker room is back in AP after a game like that.
I'm just saying, a lot of these guys, have a strong personal connection to him. So,
95 of you are watching this right now. You guys are diehard. God bless you all to watch that whole game and then be like, you know what? You know what I need after Raiders Vikings? More of it. Give me more after what I saw. 4 quarters of that ineptitude? Not enough. JR the Barb, thank you so much for the super chat. You're in the leadoff position. At Disneyland today, Disneyland is the number one thing on earth that you love as a kid and hated as an adult. I got a 4-year-old now. So I've been to Disneyland a couple times as an adult with a kid. Thank God you see like the joy in their eyes, because just on its own, I'm just miserable. I would still rather go to Disneyland than watch that game. At Disneyland today, come here to say, keep AP and champ. Let's get our boy Jaden Daniels, round 1. Raiders. Also love the work again, fellas. Best YouTube Raider channel. Well, you said one thing that's very true and one thing that's very not true. AP and Champ aren't sticking around. Maybe Champ. Jury's still out on Champ. Yeah, Jaden Daniels. We're within striking distance of getting Jaden Daniels. Obviously, things will change as the college offseason kind of goes underway, and then the combine, and who knows where he's going to move, where he's going to go. at that point. But there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks that could go in the top 10, and the way things are going, we're getting a top 10 pick.
So I just want to make it clear out here. No matter where we land in the draft, we can still land a top quarterback. All right. You see, who are the top quarterbacks right now?
Williams, Penix, Mix.
No, but Mahomes got traded up for. Josh Allen got traded up. The Bills traded up twice. They went to the playoffs the year before. They traded up from like 13 and then from 13 to 7. So I kind of want to push this to the side where we have to tank to get a quarterback. We can still get a quarterback. We just have to move up to get him. And most of these guys are the teams move up to get them. They trade to get them. So let's just calm down with that talk that we have to bomb the rest of the games or we can't get a quarterback.
Well, the way this offense is playing, we don't have to bomb. We can just be us.
Throwing them back out there.
Just keep putting up 0 points. Ty Davis, thank you for the super chat, my man. The offense by itself lost us the game. Yeah, duh. And this is what's always so frustrating is this was the best defensive performance from the Raiders in
30 years.
30 years? 3 points? We were going against like a third string quarterback.
Yeah, look, let's just
Justin Jefferson in and out.
Yeah, we were in the same position. Same position. We were both teams coming off a bye. Both teams had a backup quarterback in there. Now, we'll say this.
I'm saying purely defensively. Raiders performance.
Well,
best in a while.
I mean, I agree. I think, but look at how much better Nick Mullins looked. It just, you see a guy who's a professional backup quarterback who doesn't get frazzled, who just go out there and he's the guy in the bullpen, like, all right, puts a cigarette out on his cleat. Let's get this done. And it's just
puts it out in the sole of his shoe.
Yeah, right. He's like, all right, let's get this done. Put it out right there.
Throws a 30-yarder first pass.
So I was at the zoo once when I was a kid, and they didn't. I don't know why. I don't know, because back when we were kids, you could smoke anywhere. No one cared. So they were telling this guy he couldn't smoke where he was. I guess it's because of the birds or whatever the heck was around him. So that's the first time I saw somebody with my own eyes. I was probably like 7, spit in his hand and then put the cigarette out in his hand.
That's kind of like watching this game, except you spit in your own eye and put the cigarette out in your eye.
And you
don't have to watch the game.
Yeah, someone spits in one eye and you put the cigarette out in the other one.
I guess the silver line to all this is that because the score was 0-0 for so long, like 0-0 looks like a pair of boobs. So it's like we were watching boobs for longer than most normal games.
Feels like a bag of sand.
I was nailing her, and she's like, "Oh, you're nailing me."
Cool.
What movie is that from? Let us know.
Let us know.
So not just losing this way for Antonio Pierce, but also kind of like the Vikings put in like Mullins, right? So you're just like, let's try something. Like, obviously nothing. Like, you got to get creative. You got to think outside the box. You got to be like, let's throw some curveballs. Let's start doing something, right? Nick Mullins is never the answer to anything, but when everything is shit, then you're like, oh, let's try something else, right? I think we're going to get a lot of these.
I think he took the lead today.
I did. I got to get my
Where, Jar?
Where are we on it?
Lencho, you're absolutely right. Sorry, Lencho wrench.
What was I saying? I started swearing uncontrollably. So with Antonio Pierce, right? It's one thing to like, all right, his poor performance, awful, historically bad, laughing stock of all sports. This will be talked about tomorrow constantly because of how bad it was, right? Why not have Jimmy G play in the third or fourth quarter? Change something up. Do something different. The defensive coordinators of the Vikings have been preparing for Farva for 2 weeks. They had a bye as well. Throw something different. Throw a curveball. Josh Jacobs is in the locker room. Hurt. We'll get to that more detailed later. Do something different. And Farva has been a pretty efficient guy, but he's been like, he's playing like this much. Like, here's as much of the game as you're allowed to play, right? Like, here's a tiny little element of the football game that you're allowed to play. How easy is that to game plan for, right? Like, that's how you beat guys that are just like, all right, 4th round rookie, I'm only doing this much. Throw someone else in there. Do something different. And obviously, like, I'm still glad that Farva is getting the starts and playing because he's developing, figure out what you got. He needs the experience. We want Jimmy G gone with how bad he is and what that contract is. But this game was winnable up until Farva threw that pick in the 4th quarter. Like, this was a winnable game. And you have no adjustments, no curveballs, no, hey, let's throw something at you. Let's try something different. Not from Bo, not from AP, not from anybody. Come on.
So, a couple things. The Hunter Renfrow fumble was a crippler. Okay. Yeah. Brutal. Josh Jacobs getting hurt and us not having him in the 4th quarter. Again, brutal. He's our offense. He makes everything run. Mm-hmm. We tried a couple of throws. A couple of those like kind of honeypot throws behind the corner and in front of the safety. One to Davante, and I forgot who the other one was too. And he wasn't even close. There's a couple of really bad 3rd down drops. Tucker dropped one. Mayer dropped one or got one punched out on 3rd down that killed drives. So it wasn't all on Farva. But Farva did show you that he needs a lot of help, and we've seen that before. We've seen that from other quarterbacks that we've seen play, that they need a lot more help than maybe some people are willing to acknowledge. And we saw that with Farva. He's not the guy that's going to go out there and just sling it around.
It's even more than that. Like, you want a quarterback.
It's to a different scale. I agree, but
no, I'm saying like, there's a lot of quarterbacks that need help but can be successful. Farva never elevates the game. Right? He's always the ceiling. The game's only going to be as good as the people are like, he's never going to elevate anyone's game. Or at least this version of Farva, right? Again, rookie, maybe he develops and gets a little better, whatever. But what I want out of a quarterback is someone who can elevate the situation. Put the game on his shoulders, see what can happen. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But the second Farva comes out of his bubble, pick. Sack. Trash.
Yeah. I wanted that freaking linebacker too. Roll the tape back to my mock drafts, and Ivan Pace from Cincinnati. He was a guy that I got in the later rounds, probably like 6th or 7th round. Mm-hmm. Damn it.
Ty Davis, thank you again. Super chat. I said they should have played G-string second half. Yeah. You go into the locker room, say, all right, Farva, we're giving Jimmy G-string a shot here.
Or we'll give you one more drive. We'll see what you can do. A sense of urgency, hair on fire. Don't make any mistakes. Let's make this happen. If you go out there and crap the bed again, okay, man. Guess what, old timer? Time to get your crickety butt back in there.
Because this wasn't like, and this is the sad part, this wasn't a terrible Aiden O'Connell type. This was still a pretty Aiden O'Connell-y game on the lower end, but still pretty Aiden O'Connell-y. 20 of 31, 142 yards, only one pick. That's kind of how he's been. Like, he started off, 6 of 7 for like 40 yards or something like that. Like, that's how it's always been all season with Farva. It's a good initial drive. The first 10, 15 plays, efficient, sometimes good, sometimes really good. And then it just tapers off, and they just keep him in a little bubble. And the second you ask him to elevate, the second it's a 2-minute drill, the second it's something outside of what is in the first 2 pages of the playbook, you can't elevate.
Yeah, if you have such a conservative game plan, it's very difficult to make big plays on such a conservative game plan. If you have a conservative game plan, you have to hit your back foot, and that ball's got to go out. You have to know where the ball's going to go. And it looked like Farva was a little bit shaken. He had a couple of opportunities to check the ball down, like on that intentional grounding. He had Josh Jacobs with nobody within 10 yards of him. He makes one guy miss, and there's another 20 yards.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play conservative, you have to play within the realm of the offense. You can't try to find something that's not there if you have a conservative game plan. And that's I think that's what Favre was doing a couple of times, where he didn't want to take the check down, and he got sacked on one play and he got an intentional grounding, which is just as good as a sack on another play.
Johnny Gones, thank you so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. At least we improved the quarterback seating. Laughing out loud. Who do you like? Penix, Daniels, McCarthy, move up for May. Who are you eyeballing? I haven't gotten balls deep in next year's quarterbacks yet. Obviously, I've been watching, paying attention, seeing who's out there, but I haven't really gotten like, this is who I want, this is who I like. And it's hard because we don't know who our GM or head coach is going to be next season. Like, who's it going to fit with? Like, if we get Harbaugh, like, is he going to want McCarthy? If we get someone who's got like a ton of gusto, are they going to give up 4 first rounders to go up to the number 1 overall? There's a lot to digest, Soto. I think it's fun to talk about now, but it's early to talk about now, but it's fun to talk about now.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good quarterbacks, better, just as good. I mean, CJ Stroud, I wanted CJ Stroud, but CJ Stroud is the cream of the crop of the quarterbacks that came out last year. I think there's 3 or 4 that are just as good as CJ Stroud, if not better, and maybe another 1 or 2 that are right there, better than Bryce Young, in between Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. So there's a lot of talent quarterback wise. Now, why settle for, like you said, like a couple of weeks ago, why settle for the understudy when you get the main guy, right? When we were talking about Shaw or Harbaugh. If you can go up and you can get number 1 guy, why not go get the number 1 guy? Get the guy you want. Go get him. This is the time when you do it. You do it for a quarterback. You don't forecast yourself being in the position to strike and move up to get the guy in the draft. So when you have the opportunity to do it, you do it no matter the cost. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't know that anyone is complaining about, moving up twice to get Josh Allen. You even going up to get Trey Lance was the right move. You just, the guy didn't work out, but it was the right move because you knew the guy that you had wasn't going to get you there.
I'm still fully on the side of value. Now, again,
you don't win with value. You don't win with value. You win with high-end quarterback talent.
Again, the value system still applies, but the value escalates. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what's more valuable than a franchise quarterback than a high-end franchise quarterback? There's nothing.
But you don't know you're getting him. But you don't know you're getting him. That's the thing.
But you know when you're not getting him when you don't go for him.
It's still a value play. Like if you like maybe you like, Williams more than Penix, right?
Penix, not Penix.
I like saying Penix.
Don't disrespect the man. He could be playing for us. Call him Penix.
I call him Penix. Let's say you like Williams more than Penix, right? But if you can get Penix for half as much, right? It only cost you 2 first rounders as opposed to 4. You go the value play. That's what I mean. Still, you're right. Franchise quarterback.
You get the guy.
But you don't know the guy. You don't know the guy.
No one knows the guy. Is the guy either. That's why you have to trust your work. You have to trust your.
You don't trust your work. You trust the math. You trust the value. You trust history. That's what you trust. You trust get as many guys as you can. Now you reach when it's quarterback, but you still do value. You don't throw everything away for one guy.
Quarterback is the one position that you don't do that with. Quarterback is the value. Quarterback is the position that you spend what you have to get the guy.
There is no the guy. The guy doesn't exist.
Sure it is. Sure it does.
Not a thing.
Sure it is. No. Sure he does.
It's not a thing.
Now, you don't know if he's the guy or not when you take him, but he could be the guy.
You go up and get a guy with value. You get the value guy. Yeah. Now, again, I have no problem giving up, trading up with a couple first-round picks to get someone special, right?
What if the going rate is more than that? What have we seen that quarterback people move up and they trade the going rate is 3 first-round picks.
If you're in a negotiation with like 4 other people that are like you, that are like, well, this is my guy, I'll pay whatever, it doesn't matter, then you back the fuck out. You run away.
Where, Jar?
You don't do that. You don't get into a bidding war with someone like you. You let them do that with other people, waste 3 first-round picks on someone that may or may not pan out, and you go back to value. That's what I'm saying.
You like mediocrity, I guess.
I like knowing. I like throwing away.
There is no knowing. Even if you wait and take a guy, there's no knowing.
Yeah, but you're not throwing away picks.
You're not throwing away picks because you're that's when you trust your scouting. You trust your work.
You don't, because no one does it well. No one is like, oh, I'm batting 800 on my drafts. Nobody does. That's my thing. I'm arguing with math on my side. Like, no system, no scouting team, no
How's
GM.
that working out for Bill Belichick right now? How's that math working out for Bill Belichick?
Bill Belichick is good at knowing his own guys. He's not good at knowing other guys. His system.
Well, he sure built a defense, not knowing the guys he's getting.
He built his defense because he's doing exactly what I said, going mass. Like, he knew how to get
But again,
extra guys. Like, he wasn't good at hitting draft picks. He was good at getting. He was good at hoarding draft picks.
A quarterback,
and therefore got guys.
Quarterback will take care of a lot of that mess. Will elevate other people around you. So we'll make those 3rd, 4th round picks perform like 2nd round, 1st round picks.
Yeah. And not hitting your quarterback, if you've traded the house for him, will set your franchise back for a year.
Then we're back where we were before.
We can go value and still get a top quarterback this draft.
The chances are a lot less. You go after we're done here. Go look at all the quarterbacks that are of the playoff teams and tell me where they were drafted.
Okay. And I'll go and see all the other quarterbacks that were drafted really high and where they're at and what they were traded for.
No, it's not about that. It's about the teams.
It is about that.
No, it's about the teams that are. It's about the teams that are playing well. Where were they selected?
I am not getting in a bidding war with another you, Soto. With someone who's just like, well, that's my guy, I'll pay whatever.
I didn't say my guy would pay whatever.
That's what you're sounding.
I said
it's your guy. Go get him.
Did you not hear when I said the going rate, or did your just ears turn off when I said that?
Okay, going rate is fine.
That's what I said, the going rate. I said you pay the going rate. Did I not say that?
I'm saying you still always go value with the draft. That's what we've been saying for that. That's what got Gruden and Mayock in so much trouble. This is our guy. Like, we trust ourselves. We trust our staff. That's our guy.
They did that with a tackle and a freaking defensive end, and they didn't do that with a quarterback. It's different. A tackle and defensive end do not.
You're right. It's more expensive. It's worse. It's worse if you miss.
A tackle and defensive end don't impact the game like a quarterback does.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous to do that.
We were talking before the show, like this season, like, we're not going to the playoffs this season, right? So now
there's no way. And here's why, guys. Just we're not being negative. We're not being negative. What I'm saying is we can max get nine wins. Max. We're not getting into the playoffs with 9 wins. There's a jumble of teams, and we're not going to win. We're not going to win the tiebreaker. It's conference record. We've already have a terrible conference record. Yeah. We're not going to do that.
Lost the Bills, Steelers. It's not happening. So priorities shift, right? And we were getting kind of like, burn everything down. I think there's plenty of reason to optimism, first and foremost, with how this defense is playing. Like, we're down to the dumps. Crap game. Offense, complete garbage. All of that true. A lot of reasons to be pissed. AP, you're gone. Bo, you're gone. Or, you're not getting those positions next season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this defense is something special. There's really not a lot of crazy talent for a defense play. This defense is playing so much better than its talent, right? If this defense can play like this next season, we are, one of the, top 4, 5, 6 rookie quarterbacks and a decent offensive coordinator away from being contenders. We really are. If this defense can play like this and we can get, Nix or Williams or whoever, right? Well, whoever. One of like, 4, 5, 6 top quarterbacks. It hits. We got an offensive coordinator that knows how to use them. We are a playoff team if this defense can keep playing like this.
You have to take a look at how we're going to shore up our offensive line. Also, what are we going to do with Josh Jacobs?
Mm-hmm.
That's another question. But yeah, that's what most of the teams are looking for. They're looking for a good offensive coordinator and a good quarterback. And but you're not going to find one if you don't go get them. They're not going to fall into your lap. You have to go out and shake some trees and kick some tires to go get one. So that sometimes involves moving around a little bit in the draft to get a guy, and not just sit back and wait for a guy that you might be lukewarm on. But the defense is playing really well. Could it be because they were playing most of the game against Josh Dobbs that has after the first
figured out
game and a half, he played terrible as well.
Come back from outer space.
Yeah, right. Come back from outer space. So I always thought the Pastronaut was such a terrible nickname.
I loved it.
I thought it was awful.
It's I think it was completely dependent on how well he's doing. You know what I mean? Like if it would have kept playing well, I think Pastronaut would have taken off. But as soon as you start sucking, then it's like, all right, that's so lame. You're so lame.
Terrible. So I think that was part of it. Do I think that our defense is much improved? Do I think we're like an above average defense? I do. I don't know that, we're the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens, only giving up 3 points.
By Raiders standards, we are. This is the best defense in 20 years. The Raiders.
Well, yeah, I said 30 years. But as of right now, but with the thing is, we have to stop looking at it. We got to stop looking in terms of how good we are compared to how bad we were before. We're playing teams now. So that's what we have to take a look at. Where are we now? So I think we're an above average defense that can definitely keep us in a lot of games. We just need to have a little bit better play coming from the offensive side. And it starts with the head coach and the offensive coordinator and then to the quarterback.
And it's also a defense that's going against offenses that are playing conservatively because they're like, look, we don't have to outscore these guys. This offense is trash. You know what I mean? Like every offense we're going to play is going to play their conservative version of themselves. Now, obviously, like the Chiefs version of conservative is different than the Josh Dobbs Vikings version of conservative. But like we don't have to take risks because this offense isn't going to hurt us. We just got to make sure we limit our turnovers, don't get a bunch of sacks, don't let this defense beat us up and take us out of the game. We just got to play okay, play normal because their offense is no threat to us. So as good as this defense is playing, they're going against an offense with nothing to lose. That's playing with house money. And still, they're only giving up 3 points and getting turnovers and getting, we have 5 sacks today?
4.
4 sacks?
Or 5, sorry. Well, yeah.
Maxx had 2. Spillane had 1. Tyree had 1.
Yeah.
And a guy named Janarius Robinson had a sack. We have a guy on our team named Janarius Robinson, and he got a sack.
The last time that we had a sub 20 defense since we went to the Super Bowl was what was it, the Art Shell, or was it? Yeah, it was an Art Shell season because our offense was so bad that like you said, opposing offenses would just sit on the ball in the second half. They get a lead and they would just run the ball. Yeah. That's why our defense was so good. I mean, statistically, they were good.
Maxx Crosby is now he won't get defensive player of the year, but he's finally getting like a little bit of the chatter about it. Like he's in the conversation. And that just goes to show you, like he's playing as good as he always has, but now that he's on a good defense, or at least an average defense, he stands out.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other, like obviously the main reason I want a good defense is for the Raiders to play well. But the other part is like Maxx has been so sorely underappreciated. We talked about the Athletic and the survey that they did about like the most underrated players, and Maxx Crosby was on the list. You're like, this is an all-pro defensive end making top 5 money, and you still think he's underrated? Yeah, because he's defensive player of the year caliber, but because he always played on a absolute trash defense, he never got credit. Now the rest of the defense is playing well. People are like, oh yeah, this Maxx guy, we should take a look at him. I'm happy.
Wow, he's pretty good. Look at him as Look at him on his get off, and he's got a bad knee. Yeah.
Wow,
really
the O line had to actually block somebody else instead of just him. So he's like in the backfield even faster.
Maxx Crosby got held, got the call, and still got the sack.
Yeah. And the defense held the team to 3, so we're going to talk about Maxx instead of him just like playing really well, but we got blown out by 20.
Oof.
Patrick Graham should be proud. It wasn't. I've always been told. So like my co-host on my Sirius show for MMA is Dean Thomas, right? Legend of the sport, fought in the UFC, coach, all this stuff. And he was Tyron Woodley's coach when Tyron Woodley was UFC welterweight champion. And he always says something that stuck with me. He's like, fans want fights. Like what fans want fights to be, trainers want the opposite. Fans want two guys to. I want him to get hit. I want you to get hit. I want it bloody. I want it awesome. I want it back and forth. That's what I want to see. Coaches are like, I want you to go in there, and I want you to win 50-45 on both judges' scorecards, never get hit, never be in danger, and keep everything fine, right? That's what trainers want versus what fans want. This is what Patrick Graham wanted. This is exactly what a defensive coordinator wants out of their defense. Keeping them bad on third down, getting a bunch of sacks. Turnovers are great too, but they were playing against conservative offenses. Like, this is what Patrick Graham draws up and hopes to see on Sunday. And he got 99% of what he could have hoped for. I could not have done a bigger 180 on Patrick Graham between last season and this season.
So that's something that's pretty close to what we've been going through at the gym where I work. Is we have a lot of the fighters who, for one reason or another, and one influence or another, are kind of stuck in that Rocky mode. And I try to tell these guys, I'm like, why do you want to be Rocky so bad? Like, he was the underdog who wasn't as well prepared physically or skill wise, that went up against a superior. What's wrong with being the superior fighter?
Focused on banging the pet shop chick.
Yeah, what's wrong with being the better, more well prepared, more seasoned, more technical fighter? What's wrong with that? That's what we. I told them we had a fighter meeting and everything. We were outside in the cold. We're telling them, look, if you want to go and brawl, you don't have to pay us to learn how to fight. Just go find that bum that hangs out in the Santa Ana River and go brawl with him. If you want to brawl, just go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So similar to that.
Rocky mode is in your back pocket if everything else fails, right?
If everything else fails, and that's only if you're told to do it.
Yeah.
Last round,
same thing with defenses, right? Like,
because if you're losing a fight, and if you're down 3 rounds, you still have the 4th and 5th round. The 4th round, look, you still want to use your technique, but you want to use it in this specific way to get knockout type strikes in. Mm-hmm. If you're down like 4 rounds to nothing and it's really bad, okay, man, just go out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
But you still want your technique to be your default. When you're rocked, when you're this, when you're that, you want to default to technique. You don't want to default to just throwing haymakers.
So the defense should be very proud of themselves. Special teams should be very proud of themselves, especially, and there's no bigger fan of AJ Cole out there
Kizzo
on the internet. Look at these numbers: 8 punts, 433 yards, 2 touchbacks inside the 20 twice. And Hayden, who was it that screwed that punt that was inside the 20? It would have been like right on the 2.
Oh, it was what's his
Turner?
name? Not Turner. It was was it DJ? Yeah, DJ Turner. You're right.
Turner. Yeah, it was Turner, right? And he had the angle, he had the timing. The punt was perfect.
Went through the ball. You're supposed to go to the side
and whack. But instead, he just like grabbed it and tried to like throw it through his body through osmosis. Right? Look at this. Look at this crap, dude. 83-yard punt, 54-yard average, 2 touchbacks, 2 in the 20. The one silver lining of how bad this offense has been is that AJ Cole has put together like an otherworldly season.
I would like to be able to brag about something other than our punter, but what are you going to do when you're 5-8?
What do we have? What do we have to brag about? AJ Cole, Daniel Carlson, Max Crosby. That's it, right?
Pretty much it.
Drastic defensive improvement, which is something.
Defensive improvement is one thing, but are we bragging about having a middle of the road defense? Again, we don't compare ourselves to our crappy selves in the past.
Yeah.
Compare it to
well, it's not something you brag about, but that's something that you address. Like what do I always say? It's not where you are.
You acknowledge it, but you
know?
don't want to brag about it. Like if you're getting straight Fs and you ended up getting straight Cs, like you're going to brag about that? Like, okay, man, you know what? You brought it up? All right, cool.
It's stuff you brag to other Raider fans. It's not something you brag to the other 31 fans. You know what I mean? You're like, hey, dude, like when you're going, like you run into another Raider fan, like, dude, our defense is going places. Like, I think we're really going to do well. But then you bump into like a Broncos fan, and you're like, oh yeah, we got to average now on defense. Suckers.
Sucker.
17 punts today in this game.
It was just bad football, man.
How about that last punt? That like little fake field goal pooch punt that kept the Raiders +3 as a push.
It was smart.
Did you see that though? Like betting wise, because the Raiders were +3, and it would have been a chip shot field goal to hit the for Vikings -3, but instead it kept it a push.
Oh God, Vegas was going crazy on that one.
Oh yeah, that was a wild one.
Okay, we're getting a lot of these, and I want to address it because I want to. We talked about this earlier. Jeremiah Rose, rebuild. Period. Any questions? Would you like to address that, Mr. RJ?
What exactly is getting rebuilt, and how? So again, like we just talked about, our defense is. We're all Raider fans here, right? We're in a trust tree. We're in a safe space, so we can say things like, our defense has been awful. Now that it's average, that's great because we're trending in the right direction, right? It's not where you are, it's where you've been. Keep what we're doing on defense rolling. Obviously, we need more DBs. We need defensive tackle help. Like, it's not a finished product, just leave it, set it and forget it by any means. But we're we're doing a lot of things right. We're progressing exactly in the right way. Defense is going great. In the right direction. Special teams is arguably the best in football. Offense, we have proven weapons. We just offensive coordinator and competent quarterback play away from being a playoff team.
I just have to laugh because that place I love that place, but it was such a dump. To rebuild that Oakland Coliseum, you would have to tear it all the way down to the foundation and then build it back up.
You have to tear it all the way down the foundation, dump metric tons of Clorox on it to kill everything that's on there, have a witch doctor do a dance over the grounds, salt the earth so nothing grows again, and then start over. That's how gross that Coliseum was.
The only stadium that was worse that I've been to, I went to the old Tiger Stadium. I think I was like 20 or 21. Mm-hmm. And that place, you could pick up chunks of concrete from the ground. Like, what the hell is this?
That's a weapon.
Yeah, it was bad.
That's why it's there.
Old Tiger Stadium was bad.
Josh Jacobs limped to the locker room today. You're how worried are you? What does that matter? What does that affect?
JJ, I mean, honestly, for the end of the season, not much. The product for us viewing, the viewing product would be a lot better if Jacobs was playing, but unfortunately, I don't know that there's much to play for anymore. So get some other guys some run and see what we got going. Maybe open up the playbook a little bit to see how guys can respond. Scared money don't make money, and we went out there offensively like scared money. And I'll touch on it again, for you as Coach Bo and for AP to make such a big deal about, we got something special coming out for the second half and blah 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 and this and that. And for this to be the offense that you put together, that you practiced for 2 weeks, it's inexcusable. It's awful. It's as bad an offensive output as you can have, and both teams did it. The only difference is the Vikings went with a veteran quarterback when they knew that their young quarterback wasn't going to do it, and they made the switch, and we did it.
It's the silver lining to Josh Jacobs potentially missing some time is okay. Let's like really see what we got with Zamir White. What we have seen from him ever since he's been a Raider has been awful. It's been really bad. Can't run zone, just runs power one direction, straight into people. Not well. His fumble rate's bad for like the tiny amount of times he's carried the ball. He's fumbled a little bit, but maybe find out something what's going on with him, right? At least like let's have you be a starter for a few games and see what that looks like at all. See if there's any reason to keep you around or whatever. So maybe there's something there. I sound like the biggest Josh Jacobs hater because I've been saying forever, like trade him for value. We shouldn't pay him. It's a running back, all this stuff. But that still kind of rings true. We're not going to franchise tag him again. It's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, why would you pay him that much? You might as well pay him that much for a long-term contract and maybe him a little less than that per year.
You can't. Like you gotta let Josh walk. Right? Every single team finds a running back late. Like we can too. You know, running backs are a dime a dozen.
Again, but you got to look for them. You got to look for them, you know, and
running backs fall from the sky. They're not like
but you got to look for them, man. And the thing is, we don't know who we have because we give Josh Jacobs a league leading attempts every single season.
Yeah.
So that's why it's hard to find another one because I mean, what's his name? Zamir White hasn't shown us much, but we've seen with running backs, that's how it works. They don't show you much in a game, but you have to give him some sort of, he's getting like 1 or 2 carries a game.
Josh Jacobs was getting primary carries in the preseason. Like that's how bad it's been. That's how little we see of our running backs. When you're starting all pro running back is like the featured back in the preseason.
Yeah, there's a lot of questionable decisions right now that you can look back and be like, what's going on here?
Let's
see what some of these young guys have.
A game like this makes you want to say, burn everything down, fire everybody, restart. I understand the feeling. I understand the emotion. I understand.
We're not that bad. We're not that bad. It's just a quarterback.
I understand feeling that. I get it. But when you really dive into this roster, see how well the defense is playing, elite special teams, the amazing weapons we have on offense, quarterback, offensive coordinator, and that's the thing. If we can land one of these good, 4, 5, 6 top quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks in the draft next season, we could turn Davante around and be happy a little bit more. It can get the rest of the offense being like, okay, we got someone we can rally behind. Hopefully it'll either draw in an offensive coordinator or we get an offensive coordinator that kind of jives with whoever we pick up. Like, I know it's obviously the hardest piece of a puzzle to find, right? Your franchise quarterback. I get it, right? But like, how many other teams are this close to being good, just needing a franchise quarterback? 4 or 5? Like
probably a handful.
There's a handful of them.
There are some teams that are just light speed bad. Mm-hmm. Like the Panthers, they're just bad. I understand they traded a bunch of stick. They weren't in a position to trade up and get a franchise quarterback because even if with the franchise quarterback, they're still really bad. We're not that. We're much different than that. We have we're more like the Houston Texans were last year. They fought hard. They pushed. They were bad, but they had a lot of injuries. They didn't have a quarterback, but they had pieces there. Mm-hmm. And they drafted well last season. They were able to, get a couple of cornerstone pieces to their draft, and now they're back in it.
If this defense didn't do a 180 from last season, we'd be having a completely different conversation. Then it's just like, Davante, thank you for your service. Hunter, thank you for your service. Basically, anybody who's like
Hunter, fumbling ass.
Anybody who's like over 26 or 7, who's got money coming in,
not named Maxx Crosby.
Well, how old's Max? Is 25, right?
Not named Maxx Crosby.
Well, I think that's the perfect example. Like young guys that like, okay, we want to be good in 3 years. That's who you keep, right? So like Colton Miller, you keep because he's young and playing well. But like anyone who's like in their 30s and expensive, it's like, all right, moving on. getting capital. We're going to be good in 3 years. This defense has improved so much. Like, no, we've got something to build on. Doesn't feel like it after a game like today, but it should. We held an NFL team to 3 points, like 5 sacks, and it wasn't even like the offense was making giant mistakes. We got like 3 turnovers. You know what I mean? It wasn't even one of those things. It was just sound team defense.
It's definitely something that needs to be an area of focus moving forward for Mark Davis, and to make it abundantly clear that Patrick Graham is not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. That's why I think we're going to hire an offensive coach. It was leaning towards that anyway. Now there's really no secret out there now. Patrick Graham is a good defensive coordinator. Patrick Graham has this defense dialed in. He doesn't have the quote unquote talent on the roster, but what makes talent? It makes players that make plays over a period of time. Well, these are young players who are making plays. Let's see if they can keep it up over a period of time, right? We could have really good talent on this team. So offensively, yeah, we just need to figure out a way to keep ourselves in games. And this offensive performance today was, I can't think of a better word than just, it was pathetic. It was pathetic, all up and down, from the execution to the game planning to the play calling. It was pathetic. And if that's the way we're going to have to win games defensively, we're still not really good at causing turnovers. So that's really the only other thing that would have maybe helped us out a little bit.
That's the one
turnovers.
Big knock on the defense is the Vikings has more giveaways than any other team in football, and we couldn't get one today. That's the big knock. The only knock you can give a defense that only gave up 3 points, right? Like how hard can you come down on a defense that held you to 3? But yeah, turnovers were needed with how bad the offense was playing.
And they put Justin Jefferson in the hospital.
I've been keeping a side eye on Twitter with the press conference. Antonio Pierce asked twice if he considered going to Garoppolo, didn't answer, and then said they will evaluate going forward. Later said he thought Raiders were moving the ball enough to not make a change. That's more, I hear that, and that's Antonio Pierce saying, I didn't think of that. Like it didn't cross his mind. Call a spade a spade. Like it didn't cross his mind. You don't look at that offense and say,
don't call him that.
What did I say?
Just kidding.
You don't look at that offense and say like, we'll make it work. He didn't think of it. He just didn't even think of it.
Either that, or he doesn't want to go back to Garoppolo on principle. Like, maybe another ego thing. Who knows? But not thinking about going with your backup quarterback. I mean,
you're $33 million. Like that's the other part too. You're $33 million guaranteed money backup quarterback.
I'm not saying that Jimmy G would have won us the game or he's some kind of world beater or something, but when your rookie quarterback looks as bad as Favre looked,
if we didn't have Jimmy G string, we should have went with Hoyer at some point with how bad this was going. Hoyer is far, far worse, but at least it's something different. At least the defensive coordinator wasn't game planning for Hoyer, like it's just something different. Like throw a spark, throw a wrench into the operation, like change something.
You don't win by moving the ball. You win by putting up points, and your quarterback had not put up any points.
And where is this moving the ball BS? Aiden O'Connell had 142 yards.
He was moving his own balls, playing pocket pulls, what he was doing.
Josh Jacobs, 2.6 yards average. Like, what is this moving the ball talk? The ball wasn't moving. Johnny Gons, thank you for the super chat. Keep AP next year. Hire Frank Reich as OC. He's good with quarterbacks. He's no longer a head coach candidate. Will stay in place. What do you think? I don't see how I don't see how AP keeps the head coaching job.
Look, here's the thing.
I love the juice he brought as much as everybody, and it's tangible and it was real, and he should have credit for getting a team jacked. But what did we say after week 1 of AP? There's going to be moments when you can't just be a coach by democracy. You're going to have to be a dictator and be like, we're going for it here. We're pulling the quarterback. We're throwing the challenge flag. I need to outsmart the guy ahead of me. I need to think 3 pieces ahead on the chessboard. And AP hasn't done that.
He's not that. Not yet.
Not that.
Not yet. So what did I say in the pregame show? I said the juice, the fire, all that stuff, that works initially. Then it's your technique. Then it's your skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's what takes over. And what showed today was that AP and Coach Bo lacked the amount and the level of technique or skill to properly coach and game plan and play call. They just don't have it. It's not there. Keeping AP after a game like this, like I can't say it enough. This is the offensive output that you put out after a bye week, after you had a chance to reassess your own players. You got worse offensively. This Vikings team, they're okay defensively. I think overall they're like 13th. They're just above average. They're not a world-beating defense. We've faced and scored more against better defenses. Mm-hmm. We're going out there and we looked worse. It's like I said before, it was almost like when you're having trouble with your golf swing and you hire a golf coach and you get even worse. The more time they had to think, they got even worse. So is it AP's fault that the offense looked that bad? I wouldn't necessarily call it his fault, but it's definitely his responsibility as head coach. And for the offense to come out and look that bad, yeah, it falls at his feet. And I think because of this, I don't know that there's a way that you can bring either one of those guys back.
I think that's about enough on a game like this. Short week. Got the Chargers. Thursday Night Football coming up. We should do
potentially Justin Herbertless Chargers. He got
another thing to follow. He got hurt today. Broncos.
I got hurt today.
Kicked the Taints in on the Chargers, 24-7. It might be a Brandon Staley-less Chargers team that we play on Thursday. Do you think? What do you think the odds he gets? It's a short week, so maybe not. I think if we beat them Thursday,
we fired them
100%. Yeah, but that's that's still kind of rare. I think if we beat the Chargers Thursday, Staley doesn't make it to Friday. That's my prediction. But maybe he may not make it. We'll see.
Hey, we could be the nail in the coffin to that turd.
That'd be. I have a lot of mixed emotions on that. Because obviously we want Staley to stay there as long as possible because he's taking like an all-star squad and driving him into the ground. But God, he bugs me. Bugs me so much. It looks like a soccer score. It looks like 3-0. Like we were watching football and not football.
It's terrible, man.
It's like a WNBA.
The rugby guys were there like laughing, like, what is this BS?
We were watching
Swat the flies. That is the BS.
All right, we should do the show. We should record the pod on Tuesday because it's a short week, so we'll have it for Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll have the big show out a day early this week. Any other big news? Keep you abreast, keep you up to date. Stay right here on the YouTube, on the podcast. Our Instagram has been firing lately. Get on our social medias as well. A lot of good stuff on there that you don't always get everywhere else. All 139 of you that stuck around to not only watch Raiders Vikings 3-0, but then chill with us for almost an hour. You guys are the real superheroes. To be able to stick
I understand people liking Raider content, but that's like you guys are just a little bit above and beyond that.
We came on here and I was like, all right, it's gonna be me, Soto, and like 3 other
7 people.
No one's gonna care, but we'll do it for the love of the game, and y'all showed up. We really appreciate you guys. Until next time. Knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.